Hello again, I'm Bob Weir with another interview of People in the News in North Texas. My guest today is Mike Wallace, candidate for Place 3 on the Flower Mound Council. Thank you for being here, Mike.
Thank you, Bob, for having me.
All right, let's begin by telling our viewers something about your background.
Sure. Thanks, Bob. I was born in Dallas. I grew up in the Richardson-Garland area and went to Berkner High School. And in '95, I met my wife, Amy, and we got married in '97. And we moved to Flower Mound in 2004. That was our first home. And our daughter, Bailey, was born in 2008. And I graduated from the University of North Texas with a Bachelor of Business Administration. And I've been working for a global accounting firm for 20 years as a technology manager. So.
All right, and as a former Flower Mound councilman, what made you decide to get into the arena again?
Yeah, thank you. No, good question. Amy and I moved to Flower Mound in 2004. As I said, we bought our first home, and we've lived in the same house for 14 years, and we plan to be there for the rest of our lives. And we have a vested interest in protecting Flower Mound quality, right? Keeping the quality of life that we have.
That's the best kind of council members.
So we want to make sure that that unique character stays around, right?
Yeah.
So because we're going to be here the rest of our lives. Our daughter Bailey, as I mentioned, one day she'll go off to college. She'll come home. Maybe she'll want to grow up. Have a family here in Flower Mound. We have a vested interest not only for ourselves but for our residents.
Right.
To make sure we protect Flower Mound quality, and so.
Well, that's a good reason for running, yeah.
I have one more thing if I can.
Please.
One other thing I started on council back in 2009 was something called an environmental sustainability plan. And we had the opportunity to go down to Austin. Our town manager at the time, Harlan Jefferson, our mayor at the time, Jody Smith, we went down to Austin. We saw their program and a lot of their initiatives. And we came back and we began work on listing out some things that we want to do to improve our town government's sustainability, right? Mm-hmm. And so I know anytime I mention to people environmental or sustainability, some people start getting concerned that might be liberal or that might be Agenda 21 or United Nations. This has nothing to do with that. Right? Yeah. What I'm proposing has no impact on residents or business, no new regulations on homeowners' business. What I'm proposing is how can our town government become more sustainable and live by example, lead by example. We can identify, create a strategy, document that, identify categories we want to become more sustainable, set targets, and report against that, and let the Environmental Conservation Commission manage that comprehensive plan and make recommendations to council, upon review going forward. So.
Well, that's certainly an important issue. What other issues do you think are important to Flower Mound residents?
I'll say three big ones, I think, that are current issues, and they all begin with the letter T. So T3, okay? The first T is traffic. I hear lots of people talk about traffic. They're concerned about the increase in traffic. As I'm going around the homes and I'm handing out my card and I'm talking to residents, they're concerned. And so I'm telling them, I think there's two things we can do. I'll also mention real quick before I go into the two ways to fix it. Our town did a resident satisfaction survey in 2017, and the area of least satisfaction that came back and the results were traffic on major roadways. So it has been an issue for a few years. I think it still is an issue today. So I think we solve it in a couple ways, or at least improve the situation in a couple ways. The first, I think our town staff, town manager, our town engineer, maybe our town traffic engineer, work with TxDOT, our liaisons at Texas Department of Transportation, to find out what can we do, brainstorm ideas of how we can improve the intersections on major roadways in Flower Mound. So FM 2499, 1171, 407, look at those intersections. Can we add deceleration lanes? Can we add multiple turn lanes? Are there other improvements that can be made? And then the next step is to find sources of funding, right? Because those are state roads. So can we work with Tam Parker, our state representative, Jay Nelson, our state senator, to find funding for TxDOT to help make those improvements? That won't be a very quick process. It'll be a few years, but let's get that ball rolling. The second thing I think is more immediate is our town manager can hold a conference with our local neighbors, so Highland Village, Louisville, Grapevine, their city managers, their traffic engineers, and let's talk about synchronizing our traffic lights in and out of town on all of these major roads. I think sometimes we're not working the same way, so cars go through Flower Mound, You sit at a traffic light, you sit the next one, next one, next one. Why don't you sit at a traffic light and then after that it's synchronized and you flow the rest of the way through town?
Yeah.
And also when you get into Grapevine, you're not getting stuck at that light by those apartments on your way out of town or other neighbors. So I think we can work together and it's a mutual benefit. We all benefit through better traffic flow, right? So I think those two things.
Oh, sure, I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
So that's traffic. The second T is transparency. So I think there's still a perception that our town council and that the Planning and Zoning Commission, that they're not being as transparent around planning and zoning and master plan amendments and different things. The town has a wonderful communication program. You go to the website, you can set up alerts and reminders for agenda meetings. You can go Facebook Live and watch council meetings. There's a lot of publicity and transparency, but there's still a disconnect. And I think one way we can improve upon that is listing all of our master plan amendments. The town's website lists from 1994 to current all master plan amendments, whether or not they're approved or denied or tabled or withdrawn. But I think we can do better than just listing all 200 plus out on a 10-page piece of paper. I think we should do graphical, visual representations of what is the trend of master plan amendments over the last several years, maybe the last 3 to 5 years. Because I think people have this concern as I'm walking around handing my card out that we're not adhering to our master plan, that we're not that we're growing in ways that we haven't done in the past, and maybe there's a perception that we're not upholding master plan. So
that's one of the questions I was going to ask you. Do you believe that they're adhering to the master plan?
I think doing what I'm proposing, right, is to increase transparency around master plan amendments and providing that graphical detail. Because the town takes each master plan amendment and zoning request on a case-by-case basis. But our residents look at the holistic approach. What's the trend over the whole town? What's causing this more traffic?
And by listing them that way, they'll be able to see if there's any changes, any significant trends.
Yeah.
So that's 2 T's. What's the
third
third
T is taxes. There's a big discussion.
That's a big T.
Yeah. I believe in keeping property taxes low. But even if we keep our rate the same, not increase, the assessed value, the total assessed value continues to grow every year. So then that means our residents are still faced with higher and higher property tax bills. Now their net worth is increasing because their equity is increasing in their homes. But so currently the law states that we can't increase more than 8% of the increase in property taxes based on the state law. There's Senate Bill 2 and House Bill 2 in the legislature right now that are talking about capping that down to 2.5%, not 8, 2.5. Right. I think that gets a bit restrictive for growing communities like Flower Mound. Yeah. I think we can find a compromise. I hope the state legislature can find a compromise, maybe eliminate unfunded mandates that are saddling costs on and that maybe go from 8 down to 5. But
something intermediate. If it's not 2.5, not 8, but somewhere in the middle.
Eliminate unfunded mandates, move from 8% down to 5%. Now I think we can. It's a win-win. The governor and the state legislature can have property tax reform. We can still function as a growing town.
So 2.5% you feel might be too low to fund what's needed for the town's growth.
With Fire Station 7, all those firefighters we've got to hire, we're continuing to grow. We've got to add new services and continue to maintain our infrastructure, and we've got to have...
Well, anything lower than 8% would certainly be helpful to everyone.
Absolutely, yes, and so I'm in favor of lower taxes. So those
all right, so you got the 3 T's, that's good. Let me ask you, we already mentioned about the master plan and the residential growth and commercial growth in the town. It's been pretty robust for several years.
It has.
Do you agree with that?
So my position is I would like to see a reduction in residential tax burden, which means we're going to have to grow non-residential. So I don't think we stop growth. I think we continue to grow, but in a responsible way that reduces the tax burden on homeowners.
This is so fast, Mike. I'm telling you, you really run with this quickly. I just want to go quickly, like a yes or no on it. The proposition. There's 4 propositions on the ballot. One is entitled "Compensation for Council Members." It asks voters to authorize a monthly stipend of $300 for the mayor and $200 for council members. How do you feel? Yes or no?
Well, I would say yes on compensation because the town attorney said that it's necessary for liability.
For liability.
I personally would donate my compensation if I were on council to a charity, because I still believe in
All right.
no compensation.
Publication of ordinances ask voters to remove the requirement that all ordinances adopted by the town be published in the town's official newspaper, which they believe is the Chronicle. That
I
costs
support
about $2,000 a year.
I support that, it cuts costs, and I don't think a lot of people in Flower Mound read the Denver Chronicle, or at least would be
Right.
notified very much.
Most of them read the cross terms.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're being grabbed by the clock, I can see, so the other propositions are ask voters to remove the requirement that the town budget be filed with various county and state agencies, and
I'm supportive.
for that, and the last one is budget appropriation, ask voters to allow transfer of funds between departments without the need for a budget amendment each time.
I support
It
that.
reduces red tape.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I want to say, this was fun and interesting, and you ran with the ball the whole time, so thank you very
Thank
much.
you so
and
much,
good
Bob.
luck in the election.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And thank you for watching.